万圣帝君伏魔真经，团靠人言测道心，真心一点观不尽。圣贤之门正道通，了脱生死从此门。一往将相平和论，功过对错成己身。君临天下尘世间，上善发恶见世人。虎虎相龙家邦正，威灵显赫三界经。魔高一丈可足举，道高一尺化太平。真水真火系身上，浩然重色在其中。经年累月修精进，忠孝节义表万民。
Okay, looks like we are live. Excellent. Let's continue that nice little beat in the background. Let me know if it's too loud, if you can hear me just fine, if the audio is good. Thank you all who are joining us now, who are going to be joining us later on, and who are watching the VOD. Today's episode of the Dragons Teacast, we're going to talk about one of my most favorite historical figures, Guan Yu. Some of you may be familiar with him from the Dynasty Warriors series, but probably don't know much about him. In general, China's stories are not really all too popular here in the States, for a few reasons. One, the CCP is making any type of conversation and whatnot difficult, let alone sharing any of the stories. Two, there's a lot of aspects of the way China tells stories that are not too compatible with Western culture. For starters, all their characters have like 50 different names. They use a lot of metaphors and allegories that are well beyond what you usually expect from these people. Not from these people, but from people in general over in the West. And several other things, yeah. Just making sure everything is running fine. We are indeed live. Chat is going. Chat should be up on this screen as well, though. Oops, get back here. There we go. It's still looking good. Excellent. Okay. So who was Mr. Guan Yu? Let's go ahead and pull up a couple of images so I can show it to you guys. Come over here. That's good. Whoop. Too many buttons. Share, screen, window. Share. There we go. Let me make sure that I'm just gonna have the screen itself up. There we go. So this here is Mr. Guan Yu. One of the first things you might notice is his glorious beard. And this beard is going to matter. It is one of his hallmark traits, and we'll discuss why in a little bit. Here's a nice little action shot from Guan Yu. And this is his trusty Green Dragon Halberd. Or Azure Dragon Halberd if you want to be a little bit more specific. Another shot of him. Again, always stroking the beard. Just looking elegant and glamorous. But it's not just in video games and whatnot. China unveils epic 1,320-ton God of War statue. Look at the size of this thing. Look at it. It is real. And it is massive. I hope to one day be able to go to it. Just all these different angles. There was at some point they had to move the statue. I'm still not entirely sure how they were able to pull off the feat, but they did. Magnificent man. And that's not the only statue of him. Here's another massive statue over in China. The reason why he's got so many statues is, in modern day, he is the most worshipped deity in China. and we'll go over why in just a little bit. Here's some more images of good old Guan Yu. Actually, pull up the images. Here he is reading. It is said that every single night he read from the Spring and Autumn Annals. It was either the book itself or commentaries on it, I forget which one. But he did it so often that he can recite it page by page. You can ask him what's going on this I can't see it. So Tuna, thank you for joining us. Don't worry, we just began. And he read it so often that he can quote any page. You just name off a page, he'll tell you exactly what's on it. So again, another statue. Get out of here. And again, you can see this thing is massive. Look at the size of this thing. I love it. And this is another shot. This is an action figure, which I actually have. And I got it set up in my meditation room. Guan Yu playing Go. And this is my personal favorite story of Guan Yu, and probably the thing that made me just fall in love with him. You know what? Might as well tell a story now. While this picture is up, otherwise I'm gonna probably forget. So the story behind this. During the war that Guan Yu was in, the war as if there was a singular. During the period of wars that Guan Yu was in, he took an arrow to the arm. As you can see it, zoom in, right over here. Unfortunately, the arrow was poisoned. They had to work fast to scrape the poison off, otherwise Guan Yu would die. No time for any type of anesthesia or anything of the sort. They had to get to work now. So what did Guan Yu do? He said, give me, right over here, as you see it, a cup of wine, and let me play a game of Go. Some of you who may follow me know that I love the game of Go. Even though I'm not exactly an expert in it, I still love it. And so, while having bone surgery, when he was scraping the flesh and the bone, and this guy is just holding a little thing to catch all the blood, he played a game of Go. And according to, I can't remember if it's legend or history because it all blends in at this point. It said that he didn't even flinch. I think he even won the game against whoever he was playing. The doctor at the time, who was a famous doctor during a period, said he has never seen anything like it. And that is the type of man Guan Yu is. There's some other kinds of pictures as well. This is also Guan Yu. This giant red face. The reason it's like this, in Records of the Three Kingdoms, actually not Records, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is the fictionalized accounts of everything that happened in the Three Kingdoms period. During that point in China, it was a common thing where the more over-the-top your description, the more awesome and important that you were. So Guan Yu, his face was said to be beet red, really long earlobes, you can kind of see it over here. And it helped shape the legend that he is. More images, the same thing. And even more. So. Back here. Hide on stream, and back to me. So that are some images of Guan Yu. Actually, I got a couple other ones. Including some... Give me 1 second. Right on time. Thank you for joining us, Bart. Screen, it should be... Oh, I closed it, that's why. 1 second. There we go. Wait, where'd it go? Nope, looks like Bart, you are late. 1 moment, everybody. I might have accidentally closed the thing I had open. Okay, click. Open. There we go. Back over here. Window. That's the one. Share. More images of Mr. Guan Yu. This one is from the famous 2010, I forget how many episodes, but it was a very long drama on the Three Kingdoms period. Yep, pull that up, there we go. Couple of other images. Again, giant glorious beard, always stroking it. Yeah. Zoom in. Again, he was also said to be a massive, massive man. Always stroking the beard, always wearing green, always having this dragon halberd with him. And over here in Houston, as I found out a couple of weeks ago, exists the largest temple in the United States dedicated to Guan Yu, which I paid a visit to. These are my pictures that I took. Guan Yu staying right here in the middle. As you can see, there's many other statues of him. Let's get a little bit closer. And statue of Guan Yu, statue of Guan Yu, more statues of Guan Yu, offerings to be made. Hey. And one more picture, taken from the kneeling position. Looking down, again, he's got the little book. So that should give you an idea of what Mr. Guan Yu looks like. So, who was he? He existed during the Three Kingdoms period, around 200 AD, give or take 50 years. It was a long period. He was ultimately on the losing side of the conflict. He wasn't one of the main figures. He was a general to one of the main figures. And it took about 400 years after records of the romance of Three Kingdoms was written for him to become deified. The reason why is he was known as being incredibly loyal, and it was inspirational, just the lengths that he went for the sake of his honor, the sake of his, what would you call him, the people he was under, and just overall the things that he did during this time. And he has existed to this date. He is so loyal that police officers and gang members worship him equally. The highest of politicians and businessmen, to the most humblest of families, they all have altars of him. All pray to him, light incense, worship, because that is the impact he has had on Chinese culture. So he's known for his glorious beard, his halberd, and like I said, his loyalty. And his legend has shaped and shifted as time went on. For starters, the glorious halberd that everyone keeps talking about, the green dragon halberd, in the actual thing, in the actual time period, that weapon didn't even exist. But it was given to him in Romance of the Three Kingdoms. He most likely used a spear or something similar of that nature. It's more of a glaive. It's known as a halberd. Shame on you, Bart. And so it's one of those things where it feeds into the type of person that he was. Because he was known as being incredibly strong and incredibly fearsome during his fight. So, I'm not going to go into the entirety of the Three Kingdoms period because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to go over the Three Kingdoms period. But he belonged to the Kingdom of Shu, S-H-U, alongside his two brothers, Liu Bei and Zhang Fei. As legend goes, they met on the same day. They got to know each other and realized that they had a similar vision of uniting the Empire and freeing it from the grasp of all the evildoers who were doing bad things. So they went to a peach garden and swore an oath to each other. They may have not been born on the same day, but they will die on the same day. And from there, the adventure began. When that adventure began, they were basically three nobodies. But the way they spoke about the people and the way they inspired people is what brought other, just thousands upon thousands of people to their side. And they'll rack up victory after victory after victory. And soon, the big people kind of began to take notice. Probably the first major moment in Guan Yu's career when the head honchos of this sporting status period took notice. 16 people, or 16 warlords, let's say, were right now united in a city that was being laid siege to. And they kept sending out generals to fight the enemy general. And he kept getting killed. I think he took out at least 3 that I can recall, probably even more. They would send them out, they would hear the enemy crowds cheering, and then the head of the defeated enemy, or defeated ally in this case, gets lopped over the walls. So they kept losing people and they were wondering what the hell are they gonna do. In comes the recommendation Liu Bei, Zhang Fei, and Guan Yu. At this point, their ranks were the lowest of the low. Guan Yu's rank in the military was something like novice archer, or something along those lines. You know, real basic bitch type of stuff. Nobody really cares who this guy was. And so as they are plotting, figuring out what they can do while the city's being laid siege to, wondering who can possibly defeat the enemy general who is killing everybody in like a single blow, Guan Yu speaks up and says, "I'll take care of it." Yuan Shao, who is like the head of these warlords, asks, "Okay, who the hell are you? What is your rank?" "Guan Yu. Not really anyone special. My rank is archer. Let me fight him." And everyone's just kind of laughing. Except Liu Bei, who is just kind of stone-faced because he knows what's going to happen. Cao Cao, another important figure that we're going to talk about a lot later on. He notices this and says, "You know what? Let's give him a shot." He pours some hot wine in a cup and gives it to Guan Yu and says, "Here, drink up to your victory." Guan Yu replies, "Save it. I will be back before this thing is even cold." So he goes out. All the warlords are expecting the same old stuff to happen. They hear the crowd going wild. They hear him getting more excited and excited and excited, and then silence. They're confused because this hasn't happened before. Soon, Guan Yu walks on back with the head of the defeated general and throws it at the feet of all the warlords. And that's when people knew this man was a serious man, not to be messed with. Another event that happened back when, well after this point, Cao Cao was now an enemy to Guan Yu, Liu Bei, Zhang Fei, and Guan Yu was leading an army laying siege to the capital. And Cao Cao had an idea. When he found out it was Guan Yu leading them, he said, "Maybe it'll be easier if we just move the entire capital to somewhere else than dealing with Guan Yu." That's the type of pull this man's legend had. Give me one quick moment, pull this up. One of the other events that happened with Guan Yu, which is not spoken enough because you can't really make a game out of it, and you can't really put it in a game because it's not as playworthy, I guess. We take Bikini Bottom and move it. Yeah, he pulled the we'll take Bikini Bottom and move it somewhere else. He ultimately didn't do that. So in the early stages of the war, when things were going all nice and crazy, Guan Yu was in a city, and it was surrounded by Cao Cao's forces. Now, Guan Yu, even though he was deified, he wasn't a perfect person. He was arrogant to the point of being a bit of a diva about his strengths. So what happened was he was goaded out of leaving the city, which is bad because the wives of Liu Bei, which is his master, we'll just say for now. Master is not the right word, especially since they were brothers, but the head of the Shu force. So he left the city, chasing down the person who mocked him, and he got caught in a trap. And he was going to fight to the death. But Cao Cao knew Guan Yu. We talked about it earlier. And he said, no, this is not a man I want to kill. This man is strong, this man is loyal. I want him alive. But he is dead set on not dying. He is dead set on not betraying his people and dying for this cause. So he sent one of his generals, who knew Guan Yu, to try and talk him out of it. The general convinced him, told him that if you died, you'd be committing 3 crimes. 1, you'd be betraying the oath at the Peach Garden. You all agreed to die in the same day. If you die now, you're betraying that oath, because you can do something about it. Number 2, right now you're guarding Liu Bei's family. You promised him they'd be safe. If you died, who would keep him safe? You're gonna be breaking that. And number 3, you'd be betraying Liu Bei by not offering your future wisdom and supporting the House of Han, which was the family name of the empire. Let's go with that. Not necessarily the family name, but there's not really a good way to put it without you two being upset, but it was the race of Chinese that was in charge. Guan Yu ponders this and says, okay, I will surrender under 3 conditions. 3 is a bit of a common trope, as you're gonna see. First, he used to be considered surrendering to the Han Emperor, not Cao Cao. Cao Cao at this point basically has the Han Emperor as a puppet. And it's like, well, okay, surrendering to me is surrendering to the Han Emperor, I can accept that. Second, the wives are to be untouched. Cao Cao says, okay, we got a pretty strict no raping policy when it comes to these noblemen's wives, so that's not a problem at all. And third, so that was the thing that happened, and Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei all got separated because things went wrong. So Cao Cao and Guan Yu don't even know if the other ones are alive. He says, third, once he knows where Liu Bei is, he is to be released to go to him at once. No strings attached, no BS, nothing of the sort. This one was a bit of a harder pill to swallow, but since they don't even know if Liu Bei is alive, they decide, you know what? Fine. I accept your third condition. And so Guan Yu surrendered to Cao Cao. Guan Yu also had another little, not condition, but a request, let's say. He wanted Cao Cao's army to move miles away from the city that he was left to guard, so he can go in by himself and make sure the wives are actually untouched, that Cao Cao's not pulling any games. Now, if Guan Yu was a sneaky fellow, he could have done a lot of things with that. He could have locked the city gates again and caused them to do another siege, or he could have taken the family and just skedaddled, run away. And Cao Cao's general said, hey, these are possibilities. We should not do it. But Cao Cao said, no, we'll move away as far away as you want. I'm okay with doing this because this is Guan Yu. Guan Yu gave his word. And if Guan Yu gave his word, there's nothing else you need. And so he did that. Guan Yu went in, checked out the wives were okay. So he said, okay, I surrender. Just like that. So while he was in captivity, at some point Guan Yu met the Emperor. The Emperor was so impressed by Guan Yu's beard, he gave him the official government title, Man of the Magnificent Beard. So that was an official title he got. Man of the Magnificent Beard. Grab me a little bit of tea. I periodically look over the chat, so feel free to let me know your thoughts on what's being said so far. So while under Cao Cao's control / protection, a lot of little funny things happen. Damn, no, that's a real achievement. Yes. Man of the Magnificent Beard. At one point I tried to grow this out to see if I can make it go nice and long, but because of my Eastern European roots, it's all scraggly and just doesn't work out. Anyway. So, the wives were given their own separate rooms. Weed Pillar, thank you for joining us. Interesting dude, that Guan Yu guy. Oh yes. So the wives were given their own rooms. Guan Yu was given his room. And he was supposed to be given, what's the word I'm looking for? Given assurance that the wives will be safe, will keep guards outside. So Guan Yu, just relax and do whatever you want. Guan Yu said, thanks, but I gave my word that I was going to protect them, so I'm going to stand guard over them. And so that's what he did, which again impressed Cao Cao. To reward his loyalty, Cao Cao gave Guan Yu a bunch of concubines, basically for sexy time. Or whatever else he wanted, I guess, but usually it's for sexy time. Guan Yu said, oh, you'll do anything I say, right? Yes, Guan Yu-chan, anything you say. Excellent. Take care of my wives. My wives. Take care of Liu Bei's wives. Do whatever they ask. So he said, no thank you, bitches. Go take care of the women. That's the type of man Guan Yu is. It takes a real man to say no to the bitches. It's fantastic. It's one of those little things that just makes me fall in love with him. I ain't got no time for sex. I made a promise. During this time, Cao Cao's plan was to make Guan Yu fall in love with Cao Cao. Not romantically, but in terms of, wow, he's such a great leader, I'm going to join him instead. So he would invite him to dinners, he would invite him on walks, he would do all of this other stuff so they can talk and get to know each other. But all Guan Yu ever did was just talk about Liu Bei. Oh man, Liu Bei is the greatest. I can't wait until I meet Liu Bei again. In one of the events that happened. So first, a little backstory. During the Three Kingdoms period, there was a saying that went, among men, Lu Bu. Among horses, red hair. And what this meant, translating into Western speak, is the mightiest of the mighty in this period was Lu Bu and his horse, red hair. To give you an idea of how mighty Lu Bu was, so I gave you that story of Guan Yu earlier, how he cut off the head of that general, who already cut off the head of 3 other generals. And you're gonna hear all his other magnificent feats throughout all of this. Him, Zhang Fei, and Liu Bei attacking Lu Bu at once couldn't defeat him. They put him on a standstill, sure, but Lu Bu was a tremendous fighter. And Red Hair was a tremendous horse. It is said that throughout the entirety of the Three Kingdoms, only 2 people were ever able to handle Red Hair: Lu Bu and Guan Yu. So when Cao Cao gave Guan Yu the gifts of red hair, Guan Yu was ecstatic. He was happy. And Cao Cao felt like, yes, now I got him. This is the gift he wanted. Guan Yu is mine. But Guan Yu just said, oh, this horse is so fast, I can't wait. when I finally find out where Liu Bei is, I can get to him even faster. And Cao Cao is just... I have to respect his loyalty. This is miles beyond what I thought I can expect from anybody else. But Guan Yu really is one loyal son of a bitch. During this time, there's a bit of fun little controversy that happens where Guan Yu, to repay Cao Cao for what he's doing, joins his army and fights a bunch of other people. He's fighting against Yuan Shao, which is one of the biggest warlords going on that's around. And during this time, as Guan Yu finds out after the fact, Liu Bei is currently under Yuan Shao. And so Yuan Shao is sending armies against Cao Cao. Cao Cao is sending out Guan Yu, Liu Bei's brother, and Guan Yu is just chopping people left and right. Takes out several generals in just amazing fashion. And because of all this, Liu Bei finds out where Guan Yu is, and so he tells Guan Yu where he is. Guan Yu finds out, and according to the rules that Cao Cao laid out, Guan Yu gets to leave. Cao Cao tries to be cute and plays the whole "I'm not home right now" game for a couple of days. But Guan Yu says, "Nah, we had a deal." And so he writes a note and heads off. And thus begins the next journey for Guan Yu. The quest to find his brother, who is hundreds of miles away. Alright. Scroll here to my notes. Let me get me a little bit more tea. Make sure the stream is still up. Alright, everything is looking good. So, Guan Yu left. Several of Cao Cao's generals were a little bit pissed off because it's a rude way of leaving. But Guan Yu knew the game that Cao Cao was playing, so he's like, I'm not gonna have any of that. When they found out, they told Cao Cao, and they wanted to send an army to go kill Guan Yu because of this. And Cao Cao says, no, I did give him my word. He saw through the games I was playing. And honestly, generals, you guys should try and be more like Guan Yu. Because that's how loyal he is. So Cao Cao rode off. He met up with Guan Yu while he was on the road. They began a contest of humble bragging. So one of the things Guan Yu did was all of the riches and treasures that Cao Cao was giving him, aside from that hair, he gave them all back. He's like, thanks dude, but no thanks. All I need is the horse to get back to my brother. We're square. Thank you. So, Guan Yu told the wives and the caravan that he had with them, go on ahead, I'll talk with Cao Cao and I'll catch up. When he was done talking with Cao Cao, he went to meet up with the wives, but they were missing. As it turns out, they were captured by bandits. Guan Yu is pissed off, furious, ready to cut some heads, and he sees off in the distance a couple of people riding towards him. One of them has another person's head, just like kind of dangling by his hip. They ride up, get off the horses, and kneel in front of Guan Yu. Guan Yu's like, what the hell is this? And the guy speaks up. Hey, I'm part of the bandit troop that stole your wives, but I didn't know at the time they were your wives. When I found out, me and my partner over here, who was the other leader of the bandits, were arguing what to do. I wanted to give him back to you because I knew who you were. He didn't know who you were, so he wanted to keep the wives. So I cut off his head, and I'm bringing it to you as a sign of... What's the one I'm looking for? Not good fortune. A sign of, come on. Good faith. Like, we'll tell you where the wives are. We'll take you to them. Here's the guy who wanted to keep them. Just please, single man of Guan Yu, don't kill our bandit army of 500 people. Guan Yu was honored by this. So he met up with the wives again. And to make a long story short, the bandits agreed to join Guan Yu. Guan Yu said, just stay here, do your stuff, I will get you when I need you. So Guan Yu is riding off. At some point he stops for the night, and he stops by some dude's home. The dude knew who Guan Yu was, so he invited him in, gave him all the usual pleasantries, stuff like that. And at some point said, oh, by the way, Guan Yu, if you by chance come across my son, whose name is this, I can't remember what the name is. There's a lot of very similar sounding names in China, especially back then. And so they all kind of bleed together. One of the issues of records of romance of the Three Kingdoms. So Guan Yu says, okay, if I come across your son, I'll give him this note. And I'm sure this will have no part to play later on. Alright. So while this is going on, Guan Yu is still in South territory. And in his territory, there's several crossroads, let's call them. They call them passes. So Guan Yu comes across the first pass. He exchanged pleasantries with the general in charge, but Guan Yu left in such a hurry that he forgot the papers that saying he can pass. By law, the general can't let him pass. It's as simple as that. No papers, no pass. So the general told him, sorry, but I can't do anything about it. You know, you have to go back. Guan Yu said, no, it's already been several days. I gotta go meet my brother. Move. He said no. So Guan Yu said, fuck you. So then he rode off, killed him with one slice. So that's one pass, one general dead. One pass, one general dead. A few days later, again, this is all on horseback, with no AC, braving the elements. People's patience might not be as good as they could be. So the second pass, same problem, he's got no papers. Except the leaders of the second pass, they knew Guan Yu, they knew of his legends. They knew they couldn't beat him in a one-on-one duel. So they tried to lure him into a trap. So the trap was, let's see if I can do some little visuals here. Here's the pass. Here's Guan Yu. They set up the ambush over here. You can see it. I'll pull this up so I can actually see what I'm doing. Alright. So here's the pass. Here's Guan Yu. Here is where the ambush is. So Guan Yu is here. They send a second guy to taunt Guan Yu. The second guy is supposed to run off into the ambush after he taunts Guan Yu. Unfortunately, because Guan Yu's got red hair now, he's too fast. So he kills the guy before he makes it to the ambush. So that's something of a lucky break. That's going to be a theme that you're going to see as we go through these passes. So he does that, rides back to the pass. Some guy shoots him with an arrow. Guan Yu gets pissed off, rips it out with his teeth, runs off, kills the guy. And the rest of the people are like, you know what? Let him pass. I'm not messing with this. Forget it. So, 2 passes, 3 people dead. Pass number 3. The man in charge of pass number 3 decided to set up an ambush like the previous guys, but he would do it in town inside of a monastery. So Guan Yu would dismount and let his guard down. Unfortunately, one of the monks in this monastery grew up in the same village as Guan Yu, knew him as kids, so he gave Guan Yu the heads up of what's going on. The ambush failed. Guan Yu killed the general. A couple of soldiers tried to hold the wives hostage. Guan Yu didn't even say a thing. He just gave him a look that said, "Do you realize what will happen if you hurt them?" They probably let them go and fled. Next pass. The next pass again tries to trick him. They act all nice, friendly, buddy-buddy. And they tell Guan Yu, rest for the night. You know, everything's fine. Get inside. We know what's going on. We cool, dog. We cool. But the general had a plan. At around 11 p.m. midnight, when Guan Yu and everybody is asleep, they would light the building they're inside on fire and just burn him alive. Best way to deal with him so they don't have to face the might of Guan Yu. One of the aides to the general, or governor, whoever was in charge of this plan, was told of this and thought to himself, I have not even seen this man before. The person who everybody seems to be afraid of. I wonder what he looks like. So he went in and creaked open the door to Guan Yu's room to see him reading by candlelight. Again, reading the same book he reads every single night. He immediately got a platonic erection and screamed, "This man is a god!" Guan Yu's reply was, "I know, but what the hell was that? Who are you?" The aide came in and introduced himself. Upon hearing the aide's name, Guan Yu went, "Wait a minute, I've heard this name before," and pulled out the letter of the old man from earlier. So, between this moment, where he just so happens to run into the guy who he's supposed to give the letter for, the friendly bandits who gave him back to wives, the super fast horse that let him escape the ambush, who killed the guy before he even got into the ambush, and the monk from the same town as him. This is why he is known also as a god of luck, besides a god of war, and fortune, and loyalty, and brotherhood. The gods in Chinese mythology are gods of a lot of things at once. Again, this is all the stuff he's doing just to meet back up with his brother. So yeah, pulls out the notes, and the aide is just, he begins to cry, like, wow, I almost killed a man as righteous as you. So he tells Guan Yu what the plan is, and helps Guan Yu escape. The general finds out, he's not too happy, so he tries to chase him down. But Guan Yu, after several weeks of this bullshit, is like, you know what, I'm not even gonna talk. He just turns around, chases him down, kills him, and sends the soldiers to flee in terror. So that's 4 passes crossed, 5 generals slain, and a couple of other guys as well. Alright. D-Man50, thank you for joining us, even if you're just at work here to drop a like. I appreciate it. I go to the rest of you, make sure to hit the like button, let people know about the glory of Guan Yu. So he comes across the 5th pass now. But this time, no fancy tricks. The lieutenant, not general lieutenant, this is gonna matter, is in charge of making sure Guan Yu does not cross. Unfortunately, this is not an easy cross, there's a river in between them. And so Guan Yu needs access to the boats. But the general says, you're not gonna cross, my job is to prevent you from crossing. Even if you grow wings, I'm not gonna let it happen. This is a bit of a thing in old Chinese culture. They will relentlessly mock each other with these weird metaphors and mannerisms and things like that. Guan Yu hitting this from this no-name general is like, here's the people I've slain on my way here. How do you compare to them? The guy gets pissed off, he charges Guan Yu. Guan Yu slays him as well. The rest of the military says, yeah, we're not touching this. So they let him cross. That's the 5th pass. So after the 5th pass, as he's riding on, he is met by an important figure, one of the Sun clan family members. We won't get into the details now. Again, Three Kingdoms is a vast, vast story. But he meets him up, and he tells him, Liu Bei is not with Yuan Shao at the moment. So Guan Yu is heading up, 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 up. He's trying to get here. He is told, yeah, he's not up here anymore. He's actually down here. So Guan Yu now has to go down, 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 down. Again, this is hundreds of miles on horseback. There's no AC, nothing of the sort. He's got to wear his armor the entire time because you never know when you might get ambushed. Frustrating, but it's what you got to do. You made a promise. Right. So he gets told this. He goes, okay, so be it. Let's go. However, as this conversation is happening, the general of the last pass has caught up, and he is pissed. Demanding Guan Yu's head, because he was on very friendly terms with the guy who just died. Just before they begin fighting, another person rides up, on behalf of Cao Cao, who was to give instructions on all the passages to let Guan Yu pass. Cao Cao realized that he never gave Guan Yu the paper, so he sent this guy to tell everybody else, hey, let him pass, make sure there's no fighting going on. Ooh. The general didn't care, so he and Guan Yu fight. Soon, a second messenger from Cao Cao shows up, carrying the official papers for Guan Yu. The general is still pissed off, and asks the messengers, well, did you know Guan Yu has killed all these people? Does Cao Cao know? They say, no. So he's like, that's all I need. He goes back to fighting Guan Yu. As they are fighting, a third messenger pops up. Again, number 3. 3 is a big thing that happens in this story, and just Chinese lore in general. Third messenger shows up, saying, hey, Cao Cao knows of the slayings, but since this was all a misunderstanding, Guan Yu is to be let go. It's not Guan Yu's fault. It's not the general's fault. Things happened the way they did. And so, at this point, the general, there's nothing he can do. Like, all the bases are covered. If he was to continue fighting, he'd be the one in the wrong and he'd be executed. So after all this, Guan Yu has a couple more wacky adventures. There's more events of bandits and former Yellow Turban soldiers who, they come up to him, they gaze upon him and his glorious beard, and like seeing the Buddha, decided to renounce their ways, their banditry ways, and follow Guan Yu. So he picks up even more bandits to join his cause. Just by just looking as awesome as he does. So again, three brothers. Liu Bei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei. Zhang Fei at this point is also unknown where his whereabouts is. But eventually, word comes back to Zhang Fei that Guan Yu is out and about. And eventually, Guan Yu learns what Zhang Fei is. So they decide to go and meet up. Guan Yu is all like, brother, I have not seen you in a while. And Zhang Fei is, I'll fucking kill you! Which catches Guan Yu off guard. Zhang Fei heard of him being with Cao Cao, so he thinks that he betrayed the oath, and so they go off fighting. The wives who are with him, the Liu Bei wives, try and talk some sense to him, like, hey, no, here's what actually happened, trust us, we're safe, Guan Yu did everything he can to be loyal, don't worry. But Zhang Fei was a bit of a stupid drunk, I'm not gonna lie, he's an amazing warrior, but not a good person. Yeah, but it doesn't work, so he continues fighting Guan Yu. Guan Yu says, dude, well actually Zhang Fei also thinks that Guan Yu must be on his way to kill him. So Guan Yu's reply is, dude, if I was here to kill you, would I be here? I know how awesome you are, Zhang Fei. Would I be here by myself and like 20 of my guards? Wouldn't I come with an army? Zhang Fei goes, oh yeah? What the hell is that? So Guan Yu turns around, and there's an army over on the hillside. Guan Yu is just... How about this? If I kill the general... missed the beginning? No problem, just go to the beginning, fast forward if you need to, and... join us on this adventure, Red Deck Graham. So Guan Yu goes, how about this? If I kill the general, will that convince you that I'm telling the truth and I'm on your side? Zhang Fei goes, alright, you know what? Here's the deal. For whatever reason, I have with me a set of drums. Not sure how it works out, but he has a set of drums with him. I will play a song on these drums. If you can kill him within me playing 3 songs, again, the number 3, if you can kill him within me playing 3 songs, I will accept you as sincere. So, Guan Yu and the general fight. The general is the general we mentioned before, who decides, you know what? No, screw this, I'm gonna kill him. Actually, no, wait a minute. No, it's not the same general. It's a different general who is also friends with the lieutenant who died, who is out for revenge. It was a different general, that's right. Sorry, a lot of stuff to remember. And so they fight, Guan Yu kills him in 1 blow. As the army is retreating from the might of Guan Yu, they captured one of the flag bearers. And they convince him to speak, and that's how they find out that, hey, this is the general, this is why he's here. You know, he's mad that you killed the lieutenants and all these other generals. So Zhang Fei is like, awesome! Oh, by the way, Liu Bei is not the place he was before. So again, Liu Bei here, Guan Yu here. He gets told, oh no, Liu Bei is actually down here. Meets up with Zhang Fei. Oh yeah, Liu Bei went back to the top. So back up they go. However, during this part, things happen, but it's not as exciting. Liu Bei also finds out that Guan Yu is coming to them, so they meet in the middle and they have a nice little bromance. And that's Guan Yu's nice little story of a 1,000-mile journey to meet up with his brother. And so that shows the loyalty that he has to his brother, to his general, to his country. However, this will come out to be in conflict with another sense of loyalty. Intermission. Good tea. Sebastian's wearing Earl Grey vanilla cream today, by the way. At some point, the Kingdom of Shu, which is Liu Bei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, their whole thing, they are in dire straits. Cao Cao is basically captured the entire empire, and he controls like half the country, half of the north of the country. Clarence Price, thank you for joining us. Just go with T-Man, not Coffee Man. I will go with T-Man, Coffee Man. I have not done enough to earn that title. Alright, so Cao Cao controls like half the kingdom. The third faction, Wu. So the Shu, which is Liu Bei, Guan Yu. Wei, it's Cao Cao. And Wu. Wu is the Sun family. Sun Jian, Sun Quan, a lot of other, Sun Ce, a lot of Suns. They said to have descended from the military strategist Sun Tzu. And they control even more land. So at this point, Shu is just pathetic. All Cao Cao needs to do is just walk on down and capture them. That's why they hear of a man named Zhuge Liang, nicknamed the Sleeping Dragon. This man is a Taoist who I can probably do a video on him as well, but I'll need a little bit more time to gather up the materials and whatnot. And this man is a Taoist who is incredible to say the least. With his strategies, he turns the war on its head. He makes an alliance with Wu. Combined, they have less than half of the military might of Cao Cao. But at a famous battle, the Battle of Red Cliffs, a lot of insane stuff happens, and I mean insane stuff. And I wrote this down somewhere. There we go. So Wu and Shu had an army of combined 50,000 versus what Cao Cao claimed was 800,000. Another claims at minimum 200,000, probably not 800,000. So we'll say between 2 and 800,000 men versus 50,000. 50,000 and a split leadership. So on the best terms, he has 4 times as many people. At worst, he has 16 times as many people. And somehow, through Zhuge Liang's planning, they're able to turn things around at the Battle of Red Cliffs. Cao Cao loses most of his force and is forced to run away. Zhuge Liang has planned so far ahead, he knows the routes Cao Cao is going to take while running away. And he has people planned at every single little point. And it becomes almost like a comedy when you read the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Cao Cao makes it to a point, it's like, oh man, well, you know, if I was general, I would have somebody here ready to ambush me in case I ran away. Oh, crap. And it happens over and over again, until he makes it to the final spots. In between 2 cliffs, he runs into the army of Guan Yu. And behind him is another army. So at this point, he's trapped. Nowhere else to go. And the order, of course, is to kill Cao Cao. Don't even capture, just kill him. And Guan Yu says, I know you were kind to me and whatnot, but rules is rules. I gotta do it. So Cao Cao starts pleading with him. I showed you mercy when I could have killed you. I went against my generals, saying that I should kill you. My generals, multiple times, said I should kill you. When you killed at least 5 of my generals and lieutenants, by law I should have killed you. But every single time, I let you go. When you met your brothers, I honored my word. I gave you riches, I gave you a place to stay, I protected your lives. All I ask now is that you return the favor. Be a man of honor. And now Guan Yu is in conflict. And this duality for this honor is one of the things that's being remembered to this day. He's got his honor and loyalty to his brothers, the military, the nation, and then there's the honor of himself. The honor of his word. The word that we have covered so many times before. Guan Yu says that if I let you go, I will die, because that is the penalty for betraying my orders and letting you, of all people, go. And Guan Yu decided between his conflicts of which side of loyalty he needs to take. He will take the loyalty of his word. And if he is to die, he will at least die being a man of honor. And he lets Cao Cao go. It's one of those insane, amazing, pivotal turning points in all of human history. Because if Cao Cao died at that point, it's hard to know all that would have happened, but his son, Cao Pi, did not have the same knack for military as Cao Cao did, and things would have fallen apart. With someone like Zhuge Liang leading the kingdom of Shu, I foresee them winning the whole thing, and all of China would have been much different going forward. But alas, that did not happen. So Cao Cao was let go. Zhuge Liang was furious at this and said, "You know the penalty. You must die." But Liu Bei and Zhang Fei came to the rescue. They said, because of the oath we made, because of the honor that we have, the bonds that we created through our words, there was no piece of paper, there was no contract, nothing of the sort, nothing more than their word, the promise they made to each other, that they would die on the same day. They said, okay, if Guan Yu dies, we must die as well, because that is the promise that we made. And they were ready to die alongside Guan Yu. That is the power of the word of the people back then. And it's something I try and emulate myself, where my word means more than any piece of paper could mean when I say something. Unfortunately, we don't really live in a state of society where such a thing really matters, but I do what I can anyway. So, because of this, Zhuge Liang decides to spare him. And that's the reasons, along with other stuff, but I covered the big ones, why Guan Yu is viewed as an incredibly loyal person. So much so that 400 years later, he becomes deified. It's not the first time that a human becomes deified, but usually what happens is they become deified during the period of time that they're alive, or not that alive, but period of time after the death. But after a certain amount of time, people's devotion kind of wanes and goes away. Not Guan Yu. Guan Yu is held solid this entire time. It continues to hold solid, which is an amazing feat. For thousands of years, he is viewed as a deity, a god among men. There's a story at some point after he was deified. I forget what century. Let's say 18th century for the sake of argument. It does not matter what century it is. There was an issue with Chinese merchants. Everything was kind of just going into chaos. You know, people making guilds that were just being dishonest and disloyal. People were going against the guilds. They were ripping off each other. They were ripping off customers, getting a bad reputation. And nobody wanted to agree to anything because they did not trust any of the other merchants. So what they did was they all met at a temple of Guan Yu, because he's also a god of merchants. And underneath the temple of Guan Yu is where they rewrote their rules and swore their oath to remain loyal, to remain just, and remain honest, under the watchful eye of Guan Yu. And if they were to break that oath, may Guan Yu slay them. I can't remember the full story after that, but too long didn't read, is things turned around for them. Things got much better. They actually began being honest, which gained trust. You know, trust, a thing that our society doesn't really have nowadays, because everyone just out for themselves. Therefore, these merchants turn things around for each other. Guan Yu's death was a sad one. The alliance between Xu and Wu, Liu Bei and Sun Ce. Actually, at that point it wasn't Sun Ce. But anyway. The kingdom of Wu decided to break it. They lured Guan Yu into a trap. And they killed him. After they killed him, they sent his head over to Cao Cao. And Cao Cao honored him with a proper burial and all of the all of the rights that accompanied him. And the Kingdom of Shu did the same with his body. And so he was given multiple rites of passage to go into the afterlife. And frankly, it was after this point, I will just point out, that everything went to shit for everyone in the Three Kingdoms period. It was like taking out Guan Yu just destroyed everything in Chinese civilization during that point, and things went to hell. Which adds even more to his legend, I think. You know, because everyone's got their own part to play. Guan Yu dies, everything falls apart. It's quite an amazing thing when you think about it. And so that is the story of Guan Yu. He's got other names as well. Guan Di, Guan Dao, I can't even remember. One of the annoying things with China that I can't get over is everyone's got like 50 different names. Which is why reading Romance of the Three Kingdoms is sometimes really annoying for beginners. Because you read, okay, so Zhuge Liang is doing this thing. Okay, who is this new character, Kong Ming, who's doing all these other things? What do you mean Kong Ming and Zhuge Liang are the same person? The name's not even close. That's just the way things were. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is the tale of Guan Yu. One of the most amazing people who have ever lived. In my honest opinion. And so with that, I don't see a need to belabor this. I think you've all got a good idea of who he is. All of his portrayals in media. That's him. So, without further ado, I think I can stop the audio that's been going on for over an hour. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, I think it was a good stream. Got out most of the stuff I want to get out. Thank you all who have joined us, who are watching at the VODs, and everything of that nature. And I will see you all next time. Farewell.